Hi everyone, this is Mrs. Abdul. Today we are going to continue with our reading of the Odyssey, written by Homer. So the last time we read, Odysseus and his men were trying to escape the Cyclops' cave, and sadly not all made them out. Now the next stop on Odysseus' journey is Book 10, Circe, the Grace of the Witch. Odysseus and his men next land on the island of Aeolus, the Wind King, and stay with him for a month. To extend his hospitality, Aeolus gives Odysseus two parting gifts: a fair west wind that will blow the fleet of ships toward Ithaca, and a great bag holding all the unfavorable stormy winds. So he stops at the wind god. It says Wind King, but we usually call him the wind god or the god of the wind. And they stay with him for an entire month. And he gives Odysseus two gifts, and at first you would say, they don't seem like really good gifts. He gives him a fair west wind that will blow him right back to Ithaca. So that sounds good, because remember, Ithaca is where he lives, his homeland. That's where he's king of. And a great big bag holding all the unfavorable stormy winds. So Aeolus goes to a mountaintop and he sucks in all the bad winds and he ties them in a bag and he gives them to Odysseus. This is a good thing because he should sail directly home to Ithaca after all these years. However, within sight of home and while Odysseus is sleeping, the men open the bag, thinking it contains gold and silver. The bad winds thus escape and blow the ships back to Aeolus' island. The king refuses to help them again, believing now that their voyage has been cursed by the gods. So Odysseus makes a huge mistake here. Instead of just telling his men, hey, look, Aeolus, the wind god, he gave us these bag of bad winds, and we're going to sail directly home. Once we get home on Ithaca, then we can open the bag and I'll show you. Instead, he just says, we'll open it when we get home. So all of his men, they think that he's holding out on them, that he's got all this gold and silver and jewels and better things than wind. So when he's sleeping, they open the bag and these hurricane-like force winds come out and they push them all the way back to Aeolus' island for the second time. But the sad thing here is that they opened the bag when they could see Ithaca. They finally saw their homeland after like 12, 13 years, only to have it ripped away from them when the guys opened the bag of bad winds. So we say here, that is like situational irony. That stinks irony. They were in sight of home after all those years just to have it taken away from them. And it's also, conflict. It's, man versus nature. Odysseus and his men, they're fighting those hurricane-like force winds. They're fighting the seas and the high storms, the high waves that come from those bag of bad winds. So they get back to Aeolus' island for the second time. And Aeolus is like, sorry, guys, I can't help you. You must be cursed. So now they're set to go sailing again off that island with no help. The discouraged mariners next stop briefly in the land of the Lastrygonians, fierce cannibals who bombard their ships with boulders. Only Odysseus, his ship, and its crew of 45 survive the shower of boulders. So we have this huge scene here where Odysseus loses over 600 men, all right, due to these cannibals. Okay, they're called the Lastrygonians. And we know that a cannibal is someone that eats their own kind. So they attack Odysseus's ships with these big rocks, these big boulders. And at this point on our timeline, this point in our epic, there's only one ship left. All right, remember Odysseus left Troy with 750 men and 12 ships. And now he's only has one ship left of 45 men. The lone ship then sails to Aea, home of the goddess Circe, who is considered by many to be a witch. There, Odysseus divides his men into two groups. Eurylochus leads one platoon to explore the island, while Odysseus stays behind on the ship with the remaining crew. So Odysseus and his men sail to this island of the goddess Circe, and we're going to find out more about what happens in our next reading.